Hey there, and welcome to Work is Third, the podcast that is all about indulging in rest, setting boundaries, finding joy, and putting yourself first. I'm your host, Dawn Hunter, and I'm so excited you're here. What happens when you mix boundary setting, underwater jellyfish vibes, and the Godzilla roar of joyful rebellion? You get this week's episode with Dr. Linsey Grove. Linsey is a public health leader, entrepreneur, and creative spirit, and a great friend. We talk about the chaos of camp, the beauty of Florida's natural third spaces, growing up in 4-H, the joy of cross-stitch, and, importantly, how risk and rest are both essential to building a life you actually want. Whether you're dreaming of a life beyond the 9 to 5 or just trying to stop saying yes to everything, this episode is for you. And one quick note that this was intended to be a practice episode, but I loved the conversation so much that I wanted to share it with you. If you want to skip around, I have added chapter markers, but honestly, you are going to want to stick around for the whole thing. Let's dive in. Hello. Not real setup. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I was like, it's a real setup. There's microphones. We're not talking in 2 tin cans with a string. Okay. We're just going to be really careful about not tapping or touching.
That'll be hard.
In my old podcast setup, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was really rough. Yeah. I was like, I'd sit on my hands so I would not touch
stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Just have something. I need a fidget toy that's quiet.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Oh. Sad mic.
Oh.
Okay, so one of the things I was thinking about doing is starting by saying, what's a word to describe how you're feeling today?
Frazzled. Actually, the first thing that popped in my brain was Miss Frizzle, and then I was like, no, I think you mean frazzled, Linsey.
What is Miss Frizzled, though? Is that
you don't know about the magic school bus?
Do I? No. I mean, I know about the magic school bus.
Miss Frizzle was the teacher. I think I was getting frizzle and frazzle mixed up. There was 2 little neurons that were crossing.
Creative frazzle memory.
I'm Miss Frazzle today.
Yeah, I am too. But it's a weird kind of frazzled.
Yeah.
It's like, when you have chaos, but you're just like, I'm living the chaos.
Yes. Yeah. It's different when it feels like out of control chaos, where it's like, no, I sort of have my arms around this, but it's still chaotic. That there's a big difference between those things for sure.
I like to ask people that, actually,
Yeah,
because it's like, I've done a training before where I did that. I asked that question. I like to ask it at the start of a training. And everyone on the training was like, I'm exhausted.
Oh, and you're like, all right, guys, we're going to do some really high energy stuff today. So get ready. Yeah. I'm setting the tone, baby. No, but that is really good because, you and I just recently did a really crazy experience called Ladies Rock Camp.
Yes.
And there were days where at the end of the day, it was like, we got one more thing to do. And you're like, I just need to go home.
No more peopling.
No more people.
I'm done. Yeah. I'm at my capacity.
Yep.
I loved Ladies Rock, but it was a lot, right?
It was a lot.
And I don't know about you. I'm not a morning person. I think I've shared that before.
Yeah.
And so starting, at 8 or 8:30, whenever we started, and then going until 6 was a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't do that in our normal jobs.
No.
Not at all.
We have more breaks during the day.
Yeah.
You have opportunities to get away from other human beings if you need to.
You don't have any emotional, I shouldn't say any, but it's like the amount of emotional labor that wasn't for other people, but it was like for yourself. It's still exhausting. Like,
yeah. Great experience, challenging to do.
Yeah.
In many ways, but I think also a lot of good lessons.
Oh yeah.
I really loved my favorite topic is boundaries.
Yeah. What a great segue.
Well, I love that in camp.
Yeah.
We did talk about that.
Yeah.
And the challenges that people had wanting to participate in camp, but also like needing childcare and having to split duties with their partner, or having still work responsibilities they weren't able to get away from.
Yeah. Actually, it's that. Yeah, that's really, when you said boundaries, I was like, there were some moments where I was like, I don't like this. I don't want to do this.
Okay, Julie and I were just talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, there were some things where it's like, not for me.
Nope.
But there was a lot of group pressure we felt to participate.
There was some gentle coercion.
Yes.
The gentlest.
Very gentle.
And I'm a big believer in consent, so it left an impression. We'll just say that.
Yes, I did leave thinking about quite the same thing.
Yeah. I was like, I don't remember giving my consent to this, but
right.
I guess I'll go along. And I'm like, wow, my training as a sex educator, I'm not living it right now. That's for sure.
Right, and I'm always like, transparency is key for anything. The success of anything and everything.
Yes. I know exactly where you're going with this too.
There may have been limited transparency.
Limited. There may have been trickery.
There was trickery involved.
There was absolute trickery involved.
And honestly, part of it is like, it's so in the moment that you don't even know how to respond. You're like, wait, am I being tricked right now? But I'm going to keep doing this thing.
I'm having fun and I like everybody here. I guess I'll be tricked.
Yeah.
Trick me up.
100%.
I'm getting punked. Okay. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Are there cameras?
Right. There are, but these are my friends, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So this podcast is really, it's called Work is Third. So when you hear Work is Third, what comes to mind for you?
So it's really funny because I feel like I had this conversation with you, but when you said work is third, initially I thought like, how we have this concept called third places.
Yes.
So I initially thought, I was like, oh, is this like kind of like talking about work as this interesting third place? But then I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. But then you told me about like what the concept was, and I was like, I'm okay with that.
Okay, so first of all, my stomach.
I know.
What is the expression? My stomach sank or my chest sank?
My stomach dropped.
Something.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Me and my colloquialisms.
It's fine.
So my stomach dropped because I was like, I definitely don't want people to think of work as a third place.
No.
Actually, tell whoever may listen to this.
Yeah.
What is a third place?
The third place is like a space for people to gather, right? Like it's like a lot of times like libraries or parks or like these are like what we call third spaces for like community gathering. So like first places might be, what I think
it's home.
Home. The second place I think is it work?
I mean, I think it is work.
I think it is work. And then the third place is like church, parks, like
your social activities that you're involved in.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's been talked about recently is how we're losing these third spaces, which actually ties into what you're like this podcast, because if work is second and we're losing a third option, yikes, guys.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Right. Because, the whole idea of work is third is that you're fulfilled and prioritize things that are not work.
Yes. 100%.
And if we're losing those alternatives, how do we fill the void?
Yeah. It's really scary, actually.
It's super scary. And I think right now people have a hard time filling the void with something that's useful. They fill the void with doom scrolling. Well, I do at least.
Man, yeah.
But no, lots of us do.
Yeah.
Or, what is the opposite of doom scrolling? Is there a term for that?
Touching grass? I don't know.
But on your phone.
I don't know. What is it? Joy
scrolling?
Joy scrolling? Joy clicking? I don't know.
Dopamine scrolling?
Yeah. I mean, I try to make my Instagram just full of cat videos. I get a lot of stuff of like underwater, like photography and like videos of like jellyfish, which is so soothing.
So first of all, there's a jellyfish is my wallpaper on my phone.
Love.
Took it at SeaWorld. So my feed is pottery.
Oh, love.
And somehow ACOTAR and that whole community of like smut readers.
Yes. That's funny because I'm in a book club right now that and it's like I think it's like it is that series, and now I'm forgetting what the name of it, what we're calling ourselves, but at one point we were calling ourselves Shadow Daddy Issues. So
okay, I love that.
Yeah, right? I know, like, why didn't we keep that name? And also maybe I'll steal it for something else.
I hope whatever you chose is built even better than that, because that's a high bar.
It's a really high bar. I'll have to look on the WhatsApp group, but yeah. But no, love me some like fantasy smut. Like transport me out of here to a place that does not exist and is horny. Yes.
And women are powerful.
Yes.
And no one questions it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
In fact, don't send me. I started a series where the men in the series are just as powerful as the women. And I was like, this isn't what I signed up for.
No.
Enough of that world.
We're not even living in that world. So like, let's swing that pendulum even farther.
Stretch your imagination a little bit more.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
God, seriously.
Yeah.
Have you been watching Wheel of Time?
No. Okay, so I started watching the first season and I've watched maybe 2 episodes and I was like, this is so slow.
Yeah, it gets better.
I heard the season that's out now is amazing.
It's really good. It's really good. And like powerful women. Only women, except for a few exceptions, can do magic in this world.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was one of the characteristics of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Robert Jordan's incredible. And that book series is like really long. The book
Isn't
series
it like
is
11 or 12 books or something.
Yeah.
Like
And he died, and Brandon Sanderson picked up and started and I think essentially finished the series.
Oh, I didn't realize any of that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That might be on my list.
Yeah.
Of things I need to read.
I have not read. Yeah, I was just saying I haven't read Wheel of Time, but my friends who have said it's incredible.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How are you performing magic in your own life?
Ooh. Great question. I mean, kind of back to Ladies Rock Camp, but like honestly, like going through the process and like having a band has been really fun. And it's made me want to be more creative. I feel like I'm having like a renaissance of just like, I can write songs and it's not for anybody. It's not to make money. It's not a side hustle. It's just like, I just want to write songs because it feels good. And like, it'd be so cool if we could perform, but there's no outcome. There's no deliverable. It's just like a creative thing to do. So that's been really great. I feel like that's extremely magical. And also, honestly, like I've always been a free diver. So getting back into the springs has been really awesome, especially in the face of potentially losing those third spaces of the natural third space, right? Like it's really important, I think, that we go out and support our parks and our parks people, and people don't know this, but Florida has some incredible natural beauty besides the beaches and besides Disney World. Yes. Like Florida is has such biodiversity. And so, so there's that. And just like, I don't know, like I'm trying to do more things for myself that have nothing to do with productivity.
Okay. I just want to say, I double click on that.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that you mentioned the beauty of Florida because like for me, if you follow me like on my LinkedIn or my Instagram, I'm always posting about Crescent Lake. It's my favorite place to walk.
I love Crescent Lake.
Yeah. And my other favorite is Sawgrass Lake Park.
I love Sawgrass too. There's always baby alligators.
There's always baby gators.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it because it is a way to get out and be in nature. And in a couple of the parks, we have these beautiful, like Sawgrass has a lot of shade, right? So even in the summer, it still feels terrible.
Crazy, but yeah.
You're not in the sun as well.
Yes, yeah.
So that's also kind of a respite for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Even just making my yard a more like habitable space as much as you can in this state has been really nice. Like the Green Thumb Festival's coming up, so I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to buy some plants that I'm probably gonna kill. So
yeah, me too. There's also Herb Day coming up at Traditions Herbals.
Oh,
yeah. So it's all. Well, I love them because they really educate you on the herbs that grow in your area that are native to or introduced to Florida. Among many things they do, they train people in traditional herbal medicine practices. But there's an Herb Day coming up, and I think you can go. You can try out different herbs and recipes made with those herbs. I did an equinox class there.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah. And we just use spring herbs, so like dandelion and now I'm going to forget the spring herbs. Don't hold that against me, people who taught the class, but
the spring herbs.
Yeah. We made teas with them. That was we actually did. And then like there was something at Boyd Hill Park. For those who are not from Florida who may listen to this,
Boyd Hill is awesome.
they did a class, and the kids there made a pesto with some of the herbs that grow naturally during the springtime.
No way.
Yeah, and we got to try it. It was amazing.
I love Boyd Hill. They
Yeah.
always have cool classes going on. There was at one point, I think they were partnering with the extension office and they were building bat houses. And I know that class filled up so quick.
I want to build a bat house.
Me too. I built a screech owl box. No screech owls this year, I don't think, but it's okay. They'll get there eventually. But I definitely want to build a bat house because bat habitats are being destroyed and bats are awesome.
You know, so Boyd Hill actually also did solstice event where like we did a little hike.
Oh, cool.
Then we wrote like some intention or something on a sheet of paper and we made solstice lamps.
What?
Out of paper, right? And then we had little tea lights and it was so fun.
I love this.
Such an interesting way to experience the park and meet new people who are also interested in earthy, witchy things.
Oh, sounds so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Oh my God. This is again, save third spaces. Like, oh my
Yes.
God. Yeah. And these are all these are all usually free or reduced cost.
Mm-hmm.
And Boyd Hill has like a summer camp for kids. I'm like, oh my God. If I had a nature camp as a kid, oh God, I would have been covered in dirt every day. Like and all the cool stuff that they have. Like, I think at one point they had one of those giant bunnies. I love that. It was so cute. But they have like live animals in there. I got to pet a bat while I was there one time.
Oh, I've never done that.
They were so cute.
Although, fun story, when I worked at a health department, I had a coffee mug in my office. And one morning I came in early, I think it was like during the legislative session, and there was a little baby bat in my mug.
In your mug?
Yeah. And thankfully, you know, it was funny because the epidemiology division was like downstairs. And I was like, you guys want to come check this bat out? Like, what should I do?
I would have been like, I just want to come check it out. I'm not worried, but like, I do want to see it.
Yeah. So,
Aww.
yeah, it was sad, you know, that he got stuck, and we would get birds stuck in our building too sometimes. But I do love a good bat.
God, they're so cute.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. I've yet to go up to UF's like huge bat house that they have on their campus. It's like tens of thousands of bats. I'm like,
I didn't realize they had a bat house.
Yeah, it's huge.
Do they have a program that teaches?
I think it's because UF is the land grant university for the state of Florida, and so they have agricultural programs. There are other universities in Florida that have that, but all of the extension offices are essentially connected to UF, and I think the bat house is like a part of that conservation part of the extension program, but I could be wrong. So yeah,
that makes sense. Well, thanks for sharing that.
No problem. I grew up in 4-H, and so like I'm very familiar with extension offices, like because I used to show pigs at the fair.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. Okay, but now I'm going to segue off of something you said,
please,
which is I grew up on 4-H. So when you think of things you learned growing up about how you find joy and take care of yourself and do fun naturey things and all the things you love to do now as an adult, what really shaped you?
You know, honestly, we did a lot of volunteer work growing up, and part of that was 4-H. Like our 4-H club did like roadside pickup. We would work concession stands, like do all of that stuff, and it was always so fun because you were with kids your age and obviously with your family too. So I feel like that sense of community was always just like a part of growing up where I grew up, and that really has always stuck with me. I work in the nonprofit sector, or I work with the nonprofit sector, and I've always volunteered. However, one of the things that I've definitely learned is volunteering is great, but sometimes you can burn yourself out, and that's not all volunteering is self-care. So it's really important to strike that balance, right? Like it may make you feel good, but also if you're the type of person that likes to give and is a helper, sometimes you forget that like you can overextend yourself. And so, but yeah, I grew up in a very, very small community in rural Michigan. So community was very important because we were small and everybody knew everybody. So those experiences were really important to me. I lived in the country, so like I've always enjoyed being outside. I love animals and I love learning about animals and just learning in general. Like,
yes, me too.
4-H, like there was so much to learn. Like the crafts that you could do, they had 4-H like extension days at Michigan State University, which is the land grant university in Michigan. And you could stay on campus. They had hundreds of different types of classes, and it was over the span of, I think, like 5 days, which is so cool as a middle school or high school kid.
Yeah.
One of the things was you could like live with Amish people for a couple days just to learn about Amish culture. It's that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
As a kid, like, especially if you love learning, that sort of stuff was amazing. So yeah,
Experiential learning is the best.
totally.
Yes.
Agreed.
So it sounds like, I mean, I can see the threads, right? In
Yeah.
what you do today.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
But is there anything that you do now that has evolved, over time for you?
Man, that's a really good question. Growing up, I was really into art. At one point when I went to college, I was on the track to be an art teacher, which I think might surprise people. And eventually I learned I could not work 5 days a week with kids. Like, I was exhausted doing teacher training, and I was
boundary.
exactly. I was like, ooh, I don't think so. But I still love art, and I still love being creative. And so over time, that love of art has really shifted into graphic design and just like, I love doing logos. I love doing branding, like, love that stuff. And also just like the creative process is something that is applicable to personal or professional, right? Like, recently started doing cross stitch.
Oh, I love cross stitch.
It's so meditative.
It is. And actually, early in COVID, we would sit outside and cross stitch.
I love that.
Because, at the time, nobody was indoors together.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to spend time with each other. So we sat spaced apart outside with our cross stitch.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was really lovely. Yeah.
Aw. Yeah, that's something that Megan introduced me to, is cross stitch, because Megan's doing this like magnum opus. Megan is creating multiple giant panels of each level of Mario.
When you say giant panels, like wall panels?
Like the size of that TV.
Wait, of each level of Mario?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so cool.
What isn't now I have to ask her, like, what inspired this? I'm curious.
I don't know. Megan loves a challenge, and also Megan loves a hobby. So it's like the perfect opportunity for her to just like get into something,
Yeah, scratch that itch.
And like she's got a math background, so cross stitch is like scratching even that itch, so it's going to take her a really long time, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, now it just clicked for me. So at first when you said it, I was thinking like a painting mural or something, but you're talking about a cross stitch the size of the TV here in front of us.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is wild. She had to buy a special loom to hold the panel.
She's going to be 80 when this is done.
No, it's essentially like, I feel what people like that are into bonsai, you may never actually live to see the result of your like bonsai project, but it's not about that.
No.
And maybe for Megan, this is her bonsai.
This is her.
This is her juniper.
Okay. So we know what you do now. We know what you enjoy. What would you have said to yourself when you were entering the workforce that you wish somebody had said to you that would have helped you kind of as you were embarking on your new career, or just like post-grad, trying to figure your life out?
I definitely would have told myself that it's okay to take risks, and it's okay. And risks are obviously opportunities for failure, but they're opportunities to learn. If you would have told me like 10 years ago that I was going to be a business owner, I would have never believed you. I would have been like, there's no way I'm going to be working for the CDC. But like, I definitely would. Definitely when I was younger, I would have never, to me, like working for a health department, working for the government, working in the nonprofit sector was stable, right? Like those are jobs that you'll have forever, or, you can move up, you'll have stability. And what I found was stability also means a little bit of boredom, and not necessarily in a bad way, but I like the challenge of running a business. I like the challenge of, trying to figure things out. I think as public health practitioners, many of us like problem solving. So business development and not just running a business, but just iterating within, your business to make things better, to do whatever, is a really great way to scratch that itch of problem solving. It's also really stressful, when your like livelihood is on the line, but at the same time, I like identifying needs. And for some people that might be identifying a niche in a market, but for me, I'm like, I see a need. Is there a way for me to fix whatever is going on. And obviously, in a capitalist society, that sometimes becomes tough when you don't really necessarily value profit over people. But in some ways, as a business, you can respond quicker to things versus if you're working through a bureaucracy. That's not to say that I believe that business can solve everything, because I definitely don't believe that. But I do think that you have to work within the system that you're in. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have to use what's available to you. I mean,
Yeah.
when you say that you didn't think that you would be a business owner, like, where did that come from? Just because of what you knew what you wanted to do with your life, and those views were inconsistent, or was there something else behind that?
I think it was multiple things. Both my parents worked for the government. My mom was a postal worker, and my dad worked at a corrections facility. So I saw them, good benefits, pension. There was a lot of stability in my life growing up because both of my parents had really good, stable government jobs. And then I also kind of felt like I was either going to go and be an art teacher, which is, again, like working for the government, or I decided I love public health, still working within the government or not, or non-government organizations. I think in my mind, we see business as like the whole, profit over people thing. I think sometimes makes it hard to reconcile when most of us who work in public health believe health is a universal right. There's certain things that the market is never going to be able to solve, nor should it. Right. And so I think I just had like a predisposition to be like, ooh, I don't think business is for me. Also, I never wanted to take a business class. The thought of doing that was just like, oh God, I bet they're really boring. Like, I just was not interested in that. But then later on, I wanted to consult. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to have to form an LLC, which I was like, I don't know how to do that, but I guess there's the internet. So I'm sure I could figure it out. So yeah, and now here we are.
Well, so part of the journey for me to being an entrepreneur started with reading Rachel Rogers' We Should All Be Millionaires.
Interesting.
And I love that book, but part of what I love about it is that she talks about the idea that if you are making money, you can engage with the causes and things that matter to you.
Yes.
Right. In a different way.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's like so many people think they need to be in a service-oriented industry or care-oriented industry or position, and to meet that need that they want to serve others. But it isn't necessarily true.
Yep. That's 100% correct.
Yeah. So I love that. And that was what really got me thinking, oh, wait, I could, be a business owner and still also do things that are in the service of mankind.
Yeah. I agree.
And mankind.
Yes.
And all of our friends.
No, it's funny that you say that, because it's been really empowering to be an entrepreneur, because I can apply the values that I have as a person who believes in, access to healthcare, in work-life balance, in making sure that people have their needs met. I can do that in the workplace, and I can also do that as a part of my business model. That is really empowering, right? Like, as long as, I'm able to figure out how to fund those things. But at the same time, like, I love that I can, if I have an employee that's like, I'm having a rough day, I'm like, take a day off, like, or take a nap during the day. Like, I can say those things because it's my business. Like,
Yes.
It's great.
So I don't have an employee yet.
Yeah.
Manifest.
But
I love that, because I think we want to, for me at least, I was challenged last year as, my first full year kind of doing my own thing. I still found myself working as though I worked for somebody else, like following the same habits, the same kind of schedule, and it was just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I have the freedom to design a life that supports me, supports the way that I am best, or I am my best self. Why am I still doing these kind of old habits?
100%. It's it's actually kind of crazy to think about. It took me a long time to allow myself permission to be like, you don't even have to work 5 days a week if you don't want to. And actually, I did a year where I was like, I'm taking Fridays off. And guess what? Nothing burned down. Nothing.
And you probably felt great.
I felt amazing. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was life-changing, because there's this expectation that's, look at you, you're a business owner and you only work like 20 hours a week. And it's like, well, if I can make things work, like, technically, if wages had matched the increase in productivity in the United States, we all should technically be working 20 hours a week for the amount of pay that we get. Or we should be making double for working 40.
Right. Make more.
Exactly. So, capitalism will not make me feel bad about not being productive 24/7.
No, I've written about productivity shame, but For me, one of the big lessons on the entrepreneur journey is just learning that I don't have to be productive to feel like I'm doing something useful for the world.
Yes.
And just letting go of the outcomes, like you were saying.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things I do to create.
Yeah.
And that's the value in it. And
Yeah.
if something else comes from it, great. But that is not what drives my behavior.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to risk real quick.
Okay.
So what is a risk that you've taken that you learned a lesson from?
That's a great question. A risk that I've taken that I've learned a lot from. Honestly, when I was just starting my doctorate program, I lost my job. I lost my job at USF. I was almost done with my doctorate at that point. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I was getting a tuition waiver and now I'm going to have to pay full price for this, for doctoral classes. And I had applied for jobs, but there was just wasn't a lot of great public health jobs in the area. So I decided I was like, I'll just consult, I guess, until I find a full-time job. And some of my first consulting was just doing graphic design because I knew I could do that. And eventually, I applied for my first contract and got it. And I remember just crying, being like, oh my God, But I thought, wow, maybe I can do this. And maybe I'll just continue to consult and get myself to a place where I can actually do this full time. And I got lucky and I definitely was able to do a little bit of consulting. Eventually I met my future business partner and then we decided to open up Carriage House. And that was amazing. I was able to do a ton of stuff with Carriage House. But yeah, it was wild. To be in your doctoral program and just to decide to do consulting while you're trying to pay for your doctoral program. It was crazy, but I'm so glad that I did it because I don't think I'd be where I am now if I hadn't done that.
I don't think I realized that you were doing graphic design consulting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had a couple of health departments that would contract with me just on the side to do graphic design because, as you probably well know, health communication is really hard. And the visual communication of that is really hard when you're trying to work with a graphic designer because they don't necessarily have public health training. So to have somebody that has public health training and is a graphic designer is very hard to find.
That's golden.
Yeah. So I was able to utilize that. And then eventually I was able to get a contract with the Tampa Bay Estuary program doing their communications strategy work. And that just kind of got the ball rolling. So yeah.
Ah, what a great story.
Yeah.
What a great risk to take.
Yes. Yeah.
And a reward.
Yes.
You're so successful now and you're also in your elements, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think so.
If I'm not,
man, I hope somebody tells me.
Because I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, I think we're all still figuring it out. But yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So rapid fire to close us out.
Okay.
What is something that's easy for you to say no to?
Oh my God. Easy to say no to? Running.
I don't know what I was expecting, but
yeah,
but it wasn't running. But all right.
Yeah.
What is something that is hard for you to say no to?
Oh my gosh. It's hard for me to say no to coffee. Honestly, it's very hard for me to say no to coffee, even though I'm I really need to reduce my caffeine intakes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't say no to coffee either.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. What else do I want to ask you? So I don't really want to ask you what we'd say yes to, but I guess we could go there.
What would I say? What do I...
Enthusiastic yes to.
Oh, my first thought was consent, but...
That gets all the enthusiastic.
Yes, exactly. That's what consent should be, is enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Enthusiastically, I say yes to women doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what is something that we haven't talked about that brings you joy?
Something that we haven't talked about that brings me joy. Oh my gosh, I feel like we've talked about a lot of stuff. I love old Godzilla movies. They bring me so much joy. In fact, the thing that really brings me joy is the Godzilla roar. Because it's so distinct, Godzilla.
Wait, is that why you have a Godzilla with you?
Yeah, that's why I have my little baby Godzilla. I just went to Cultosaurus and they had a bunch of Godzilla figurines. And so I was like, I gotta get one. His name is, gosh, I just lost it. I'm just calling him baby Godzilla. But
Godzilla works.
Yeah.
He's cute and he's got a little tummy. So I feel
Godzilla has a tummy.
Yeah.
Godzilla is body positive.
He is.
Very body
positive, powerful.
Very powerful.
Not afraid to express himself.
What if Godzilla was a girl?
Godzilla probably is a girl.
Yeah, because how does baby Godzilla exist?
Exactly.
Whoa, asking the big questions here. You heard it first.
You heard it first. That's what we need to go into more deeply on the next episode.
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to wrap us up and just say thank you.
Of course.
For sharing who you are with me and the world, and doing so much great work.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I could say all the same things about you. Like I if there was a fan club, I'd be president of the Dawn Hunter fan club. So
I could be president of the Linsey Grove fan club. And I would just say, 2 outstanding USF alumni right here.
Yeah.
College of Public Health.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. Wow. Big deals in this room.
Big deal.
Short story. My mom was buying season tickets to the women's basketball team for USF. And she said to the woman on the phone, "Do you know my daughter?" And the woman was like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, my daughter, Linsey Grove. She was just the outstanding alumni for USF. Could we get a discount because she was?" And the woman's like, I love that. I know. I was like, Linda Grove, always trying to get a deal. Name dropping.
I love that.
I know.
And I'm a little sad that no one in my family has done that yet.
Try. Maybe let's make it a thing. Yeah, if you get an outstanding alumni award, your family should get a discount on season tickets. Yeah.
Or just like parking. Something. Because around here.
Oh my God, right? Well, on that campus, I don't know. That's going to be even tougher, I think.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, but it's a nice perk.
It is a nice perk.
It could be a nice perk.
It could.
Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a joyful rest of your week.
Yes, you too. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Work is Third, where we believe your joy, rest, and your well-being, in a nutshell, you, come first. If you love today's conversation, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review, share it with a friend, or hit subscribe so you don't miss out on what's coming next. You can follow Work is Third to learn more about building better boundaries, reclaiming your time, and leading with heart. Until next time, take good care of yourself because you are your most important asset. Remember, work isn't first, you are.